Hey, Leanne,
Hey, Alana.
why should the people listen to Booze and Ghouls?
Well, I don't know, maybe because they want to be entertained and informed at the same time.
And also, would you say that it's funny?
Hilarious.
He's also not a fan of men and will try to scare them off.
Well, listen, I've scared off a man or two in my day, too.
He's still trying to run his ghost brothel.
I love it. Check out Booze and Ghouls.
A paranormal, true crime, and conspiracy podcast.
New episodes every Friday.
This episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Learn more at slashandcast.net.
Welcome to Reverie True Crime. I'm your host, Paige. Today's episode is about a girl named Ezra McCandless. She was entangled in a love triangle with Jason Mengal and Alex Woodworth. Jason, she was completely head over heels for, and she didn't want to lose him. Alex, well, she wanted him out of the picture forever. Let's get started. October 6th, 1997, Rosalina Gunnelson was only 14 years old when she gave birth to the baby who she named Monica Kay. Monica was born in Stanley, Wisconsin. Her biological father never had anything to do with her, but when Monica was 4 years old, Rosalina's partner, Joshane Carlin, did something that was so sweet. He embraced and adopted Monica as his own. 8 years later, Monica's mom and Joshane decided to divorce. Despite the divorce, it did not negatively impact his relationship with his daughter. They did have a nice relationship and were close. Monica's mother claimed that she did not receive as much attention as she should have at home, and Monica had a hard time not having a relationship with her biological father. High school is when a lot of teenagers attempt to start finding themselves, figuring out who they are as individuals, a time of self-exploration. Monica decided that she wanted to experiment with pronouns, and for a short time, she identified as a boy. She thought about changing her name. She was delving into her innermost self and who she really was. Eventually, she changed her name legally to Ezra McCandless. This was not some random name that she decided on a whim. She certainly put thought behind the name. The name McCandless was inspired by Chris McCandless. Into the Wild was a book and movie based on his life. Chris McCandless ventured to Alaska to live how he wanted to live, to have a newfound freedom, and journeying into the wild, to live off the grid. Ezra was much the same in terms of wanting the happiness that Chris had while he was alive, the freedom to do what he wanted and be who he wanted. Ezra went to college for a little while, but she did drop out and she started on a new venture, living in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. People that knew Ezra said that she exhibited a lot of attention-seeking actions. She did not like to be unseen among a crowd of people, and she was usually being loud because she knew it would get her the attention she desperately needed. She had always been into art. She used her car as a canvas, drawing pictures all over it. And when she was in public, she would strike up a conversation with people that she didn't even know. Ezra had to be the center of attention. She craved it. The summer of 2017 was heating up, and things would get a little hotter when she met a 33-year-old National Guard medic named Jason Mengal. They were smitten with each other and sparked up a romantic relationship. Things were going in a wonderful direction. In August of 2017, they were so in love. Ezra and Jason began living together, and they even talked about marriage often. Jason said he called her wife, and she would call him husband. They had such an amazing thing going for them. Around the time the two lovebirds moved in together, Ezra encountered Alex Woodworth, who worked at a coffee shop. He was a 23-year-old substitute teacher and barista. Ezra loved making new friends, and she and Alex had a lot in common. Alex Woodworth was born on January 1st, 1994, to his mom, Kimberly, and his father, John. After Alex graduated high school in 2012, the college he decided on was the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. He was a brilliant student and wanted to soak up all of the knowledge he could, especially when it came to philosophy. That was his passion. He graduated college with a bachelor's degree in philosophy and biology in the springtime of 2017. His next goal was to go to the University of Oregon and get his master's degree in philosophy. But for the time being, he was working at a coffee shop in Eau Claire, tutoring kids on campus, and he was even teaching a couple of philosophy classes at a high school. He loved philosophy so much that he started more than one philosophy book reading club. Alex was one of those people who just knew what he loved, and he wanted to give everyone possible a space to go so they could learn more about and appreciate philosophy. His biggest dream was to eventually become a professor at the University of Oregon. I have no doubt in my mind that he would have done so. Another thing that Alex was passionate about was helping others. He was an empathetic soul, which is a blessing and a curse at times. Jason and Ezra were both friends with Alex, and they appreciated him being around. They adored him. Jason urged Alex and Ezra to be close friends, since they were closer in age and had common interests. They were both intellectually stimulated beings who loved art, to continuously learn, poetry, and Ezra liked delving more into Alex's love of philosophy. Ezra's birthday was approaching, and when the day came, to her disbelief, she discovered that she was pregnant by Jason. She went to Minneapolis and had an abortion. It wasn't too long after coming back into Wisconsin that she and Alex developed a relationship. This romance was a secret. Jason could never find out about this. Jason had to go away for 2 weeks of National Guard duty. When the cat's away, the mice will play. Before Jason came back home, towards the middle of February 2018, Ezra decided to move back in with her mother. Between her and Jason having this, what seemed to be, wonderful life together, and at the same time having a secret relationship with Alex, who she seemed to be more intellectually stimulated by and cared about a lot, maybe living with Jason was not benefiting her state of mind to decide what she wanted. Jason's 2 weeks at the National Guard were over, and he came back home. He and Ezra would get together at different hotels to see each other. It seemed like things were heating back up between the two. However, Ezra had secrets that she did not want Jason to know about. On Valentine's Day, they were at a hotel, and Jason read messages on Ezra's cell phone. It didn't take long before Jason knew that something more was going on between Ezra and their friend Alex. Jason had found out all about her romantic involvement with Alex and another buddy of his named John Hansen. She denied that she had anything sexual or romantic going on with John, but that John raped her while she was passed out from drinking too much. Jason did what a lot of guys would do. He decided to confront everyone. At Racy's coffee shop in Eau Claire, Jason went verbally toe-to-toe with Alex and John, arguing over the relationship going on with Ezra to Alex and going at John for the alleged assault. Alex remorsefully disclosed the truth to Jason. Ezra decided to cut ties with both Jason and Alex. She couldn't stand the heat. Therefore, she felt she had to remove herself from the kitchen. Ezra did later report John for sexual assault to the Eau Claire Police Department, but there were text messages between the two that were sexual and extremely explicit. All of these steamy texts showed that the sexual encounter was consensual. The authorities came to the conclusion that she was only trying to make herself the victim of rape to cover up the fact that she was involved sexually with one of her boyfriend's good friends. This was also confirmed by Alex, who told the police that Ezra told him she fabricated the rape story so it wouldn't ruin her and Jason's relationship. And yes, it was consensual. Ezra was pissed at Alex. In her mind, it was all his fault that she and Jason ended up not being together anymore. She showed no accountability and shifted all of the blame onto Alex. Ezra took no responsibility for lying and slandering a young man, which could have ruined his life, but that didn't matter. She directed her anger onto Alex instead of being mad at herself for doing what she did. On February 24th, 2018, Alex got a text message from Ezra telling him not to ever talk to her again. Jason now had Ezra's full attention, which he no longer even wanted. They would still talk here and there, and she would send him these writings of hers. Ezra had written her very most inner thoughts about how upset she was that she did Jason wrong. At least, that is what the writings portrayed. Whether she really meant what she wrote or not, who's to know for sure? Jason did not want to see her at all. Not yet. Ezra wanted to hand these journals of all of her thoughts to him herself, and he said no. Jason also told her to send them any other way, but he was not ready to see her face to face. March 22nd, 2018, at Racy's Coffee Lounge, Ezra waltzed in the place and spotted Jason. There is surveillance video of Ezra at the coffee shop that day. Jason said later on that Ezra appeared to be tense and aggravated, but about what, he wasn't sure. Ezra said she had some things she needed to give back to Alex, and things that she needed to get back from him. She departed from Racy's coffee shop to go over to Alex's place. Jason would later say that the things Ezra said at the coffee shop were strange and she was acting so weird. Jason felt like something just wasn't right. He hopped on his bike and hightailed it to Alex's house to see if Ezra was around. He saw her 2003 Chevy Impala, engine still turned on, outside of Alex's, and he was sure she was there. Someone passing by saw Jason outside of Alex's place, walking back and forth. The person thought that it looked fishy the way Jason was pacing, and called the cops. Jason was sick of waiting and wondering what was going on, why Ezra had been acting so bizarre, and after 45 minutes, he barged into Alex's house. He said he saw Ezra and Alex talking, so he left to go back outside until they were done with their conversation. That is when the police showed up. Jason told the officer he was there because he was worried about Ezra. She had, quote, not been acting like herself. There is dash cam footage from the police car that shows the officer talking to Alex outside by Ezra's car while Ezra's in the driver's seat. Jason, along with the officer, finally leave around 1 in the afternoon when the officer was sure that everything was okay. In reality, it definitely was not. Ezra wanted Alex out of the way of her and Jason. She wanted him out of her life forever. She asked Alex to go for a drive with her, and he agreed. Alex thought that he could help her, because that was one of his traits, helping others and being so kind to everyone. This is one time that being an empath can definitely be a curse. People take advantage of sweet and caring people because they know they easily can by simple manipulation. Only a few hours later, around 4 that afternoon, Ezra was banging on a man named Don Sippel's door. She didn't know this man. He was a dairy farmer, and this was in Springbrook, which is close by to Eau Claire. Ezra showed up on this man's doorstep, completely coated in blood, bruises, mud, and she didn't have any shoes on. She was in hysterics, crying. She told him that she needed a doctor, and she had been attacked. Don calls 911.
15 seconds.
I'm calling 911. What's the address of the emergency?
This is Don Sippel calling, and I have a young lady that just came to my house, and somebody attacked her, and she needs a doctor. Her clothes are all torn, and...
Okay, what is the address you're located at?
What?
What is the address you are at?
E7614, 430th Avenue.
Okay. And is she injured?
Yeah, she's injured. Her mouth is kind of got some blood around it, and her clothes are all torn.
Okay. And she's by herself?
She's by herself. She walked to my house here just recently.
Okay. And can you ask her what her name is?
Just hold on a second.
Okay.
What's your name, ma'am? What? You don't know? She's in kind of bad shape. She just says she don't know.
Okay, let me put you on hold. Do not hang up. I'm going to start some help, okay?
Sure.
Sixteen, 18, 20 seconds.
All right, Don, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what is your middle initial?
My middle initial?
Yep.
A.
Okay, and your date of birth?
11/29/28.
Okay.
But it's a young lady that's here that needs help.
Yep.
Pretty quick.
Yep, I have an ambulance and some officers started that way. Did she say who did this to her?
Did she what?
Did she say who did this to her?
No, she said she was attacked, assaulted, and she's from Eau Claire.
Okay. And
Yeah, tell me your name.
Did she say where this happened?
No, I didn't discuss that.
Okay. Do you want to stay on the phone with me, Don, or?
Sure.
Okay.
So the ambulance is on the way?
Yep, ambulance and officers are on their way. I'll stay on the phone with you as long as I can.
Okay, I'll hang on.
Okay.
Sixteen, 19, 25 seconds.
Coming for help. You're coming for help.
So besides her bleeding from the mouth, do we know what other injuries she has? Does she look like she's injured anywhere else?
Yeah, she looks a little bit, there's some other bloody marks on her leg a little bit.
Okay.
And her pants are all torn.
Okay. And how old, if you had to guess, how old do you think she is?
How old are you, ma'am? 19.
19, okay.
The ambulance is coming. You're going to get help.
And so she came on foot, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. She just walked to my door.
Okay. Can you ask her who did this to her? Or are you not?
Repeat that, please.
Can you ask her who did this to her?
Oh, just a second. Do you have any idea who did this to you? hold on. No, she can't. She's
Pretty distraught.
upset, and I can see why.
Okay. Don, do you have some type of blanket or something that you could get her to wrap her up?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Just hold on. I'm going to lay the phone down here a second.
Okay.
Sixteen 21:11 seconds.
Copy. It's 43. I got a speed unit ahead of me.
16:21:59 seconds. Sixteen 22:35 seconds.
Yep.
She don't have any shoes on.
Okay.
Hands are all muddied.
Okay.
I think she's probably walked quite a ways. I don't know without shoes how far she came, but...
Right. Okay. And is she outside of your residence, or where is she?
No, she's in. I got her inside.
She's inside, okay.
Yep. She's shivering, she's cold, so you had a good idea that I should have thought of getting a blanket around her to keep her warm, but I got her sitting on a chair.
Okay, sounds good. I'll keep you on the phone here.
This isn't Keith.
Nope, this isn't.
Or is he working there yet, Keith Sunby?
He was in the jail, I know, at one point.
Oh, he was in that end of it.
Yep.
24 times. We have the LRO. This is a strange situation, one I've never seen, and I've been around a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you called. It's glad she made it somewhere safe anyway.
Well, when I got her, brought her into the house, she wanted me to drive her to the hospital, but I didn't think I should be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. We'll get her the help she needs. We have an ambulance there out also.
That's just what she needs, and
yep.
We'll get her taken care of.
Yep.
I suppose the ambulance will probably take 10, 15 minutes to get here.
Yeah, they're coming from Menominee, unfortunately, so it'll be a few minutes, but...
Well, I'm just about 9 miles from, well, which station are they coming from?
From Menominee, they'll come from the downtown station.
The downtown station? Yeah, so it's about 10 miles from there.
Sure.
She's got glasses on. She said maybe I told her she's 19.
Okay, yep. And did you say the blood around her mouth looks like it was dry, or?
Yeah, it's a little on the dry side, yeah.
Okay.
So it must have happened a little while ago.
Okay.
I think she's walked quite a ways, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how she found it here, but that's okay.
Yep. Don, do you have any family pets?
They're here right now. They're here right now. It's the police officer.
Okay. All right, I'll let you go. You speak with him, Don. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
Ezra was eventually transported to the local hospital where she begged to see Jason. She told the police, EMTs, and the employees at the hospital that she could not recall really anything that transpired. Late that night, detectives went looking for Alex Woodworth. They were looking for a suspect in an assault case, but he was nowhere to be found. The following day, they kicked off the search, exploring around Don Sippel's farm. They finally found Alex. There were footprints on the ground, bloody footprints. The detectives noticed a head and upper torso of someone lying partly out of the driver's side rear door of Ezra's car. Her car was wedged in the dirt and the mud. They get closer to the body, and they realize it's Alex, hanging out of the car, deceased. They approached his body and established that he had 16 gruesome stab wounds to his head, neck, torso, and his penis was mutilated. April 6th, 2018, 2 weeks after Alex's body was discovered, Ezra was brought into custody and charged with first-degree intentional homicide. The murder trial started on October 15th, 2019. This was 18 months after she had killed Alex. When asked why she changed her name to Ezra, she explained the Chris McCandless story and Into the Wild. An old friend of Ezra's said, quote, "I thought it was really interesting when she asked to spell her name, how happy she got, how much she lit up. When she was spelling it, it was kind of smiling, like, yep, this is me, I get to talk about me now. Like, my time to shine." End quote. The prosecution really drew the attention to and drove the point home about all the times Ezra contradicted herself in her numerous versions of her stories and the inconsistencies of the crime scene. Initially, she could not remember exactly what happened. She said it was like a blank slate. In an interview that was recorded after the police let her know that they found her Chevy Impala and Alex's dead body, she said he came at her, assaulted her, and that she could not get that out of her head. That doesn't add up to not remembering anything. Ezra went on to say that Alex took a knife and etched the word boy into her arm, which referenced the fact that she used to identify as male. Later, she confessed that Alex did not do that at all. She did it to herself. She claimed Alex had always called her a boy to laugh at her sexuality, and it had infuriated her. In the beginning, she said that the knife Alex was holding cut her hand because she was trying to grab him. She said when she was finally free of his grasp, she was able to take the knife away from him, and he cut her clothes. Later on in the trial, she said, quote, "I decided then to knee him in the groin, and he drops the knife at that point. Instantly, I grabbed the knife. I started stabbing him anywhere and everywhere I could." End quote. Ezra testified that Alex was attacking her in the back seat of the car, but the majority of the blood at the scene wasn't in the car. Most of the blood was outside of the car. Before the authorities discovered Alex's body, Ezra said in an interview that the assault that happened to her was at Owen Park, which is in Eau Claire. The prosecution said that that lie was to deter all authorities from the real crime scene. It was verified that the knife that took Alex's life was from Ezra's father's home. At the trial, her father said that he had given Ezra knives before as protection. Dr. Tillotson was taking care of Ezra in the emergency room and looked over all of her lacerations, and he testified on the stand these seemed to be self-inflicted injuries. Also, he testified that she could not remember what happened, and she kept requesting to see Jason. Going back to Alex allegedly cutting Ezra's shirt and pants, as she had said, Sergeant Rich Day testified he could tell whether the shirt was cut, ripped, or torn. The prosecution insinuated that Ezra tore the shirt and pants herself so she could stage Alex's attack. After the extensive DNA testimony that proved where Alex and Ezra's DNA was discovered at the scene, prosecutors called Ezra's adopted father, Joe Shane, to the stand. He gave the impression that he was hesitant to respond to the prosecution's questions, because he was obviously on the side of his daughter Ezra's defense team. District Attorney Andrea Nodoff presented to the jury that the weapon that murdered Alex Woodworth was Ezra's father's knife. Ezra was staying at her father's house the night before Alex would lose his life. The district attorney asked Ezra's father about police investigating his home for knives. Quote, "You couldn't find that second knife in the kitchen where you thought it would be, right?" End quote. Ezra's father responded, "Correct." So-called essays were shown on a screen at the court hearing that Ezra was forced to read out loud and explain. The defense tried to paint a picture that every word Alex wrote was meant as the definition, such as the use of the word cannibalism, when these words were metaphors and did not literally mean the definitions. The prosecution said these essays were all basically metaphorical. Alex wanted to be a philosophy teacher. He wrote poems, and that these basically did not hold any weight in their opinion. The defense played an angle that argued Alex was furious that Ezra did not want to be in a relationship with him, saying Alex forced himself onto Ezra, brutally attacked her, and she was struggling and battling Alex for dear life. Ezra testified that she in fact was stabbing him to protect herself, and she simply wished to get away from him. Her defense lawyers attempted to paint a picture of Alex that he was fascinated and was also fantasizing about cannibalism. They also said Ezra was terrified that he was going to rape her. I'm going to put in the show notes the court record of the defense's character evidence that the defense brought to the table. It's pages and pages of Alex's writings and Ezra's statements as well as Jason Mengal's. The prosecution said this case is about a twisted form of love. Their belief was that Ezra murdered Alex in a desperate attempt to hold on to the relationship that she had with Jason. Alex was merely in the way. The prosecution said that Ezra tricked Alex into going to a secluded place, making him think that they were going to talk about their specific relationship. That is when she stabbed him 16 times, before she carved the word boy into her arm, tore her clothes, all to make it look like she was the victim in this situation. Along the road, investigators found a piece of evidence, Alex's phone, which had been shattered. They believed Ezra grabbed the phone and smashed it so Alex couldn't call for help. As soon as Ezra heard the words, "The state calls Jason Mengal," she began moving around in her seat and peering around the courtroom. This seemed like the moment she had been waiting for. One of her old friends said, quote, "She just couldn't hide it. I think she had went, a year without seeing this person, and there they are. And she wanted attention from him." End quote. Jason also noticed this behavior, saying, quote, "On the day I was testifying, I was kind of shocked when I walked in the room. She's giving me these looks, adjusting herself, like being overly, attuned to me." End quote. When Jason took the stand, Ezra had her eyes fixated on him in a way that clearly showed she still had feelings for him. But she showed little to no emotion throughout the trial about the death of Alex. Jason was asked to identify Ezra by what she was wearing, and he said she's got on a pink jacket. Well, the pink jacket didn't stay on long after that. She took the pink jacket off and had a green sweater under it. Nobody in the courtroom except Jason knew what this meant. He was the one who gave Ezra the green sweater while she was in the hospital after she said that she was attacked. Later, he said, quote, "It was emotional to see that the games never stopped. It was deliberate. She definitely wore that to get a response out of me. It was just shocking. I don't understand what her tactic was, but I definitely felt uneasy. It just felt like more of the emotional manipulation I had been put through. I definitely felt like she thought that showing that to me, like, this is how much I love you still." End quote. He testified that their relationship fizzled out while he was gone doing his military duties and that he was distraught. As far as her and Alex being close, he said, quote, "She was going through emotional things. He was a really good friend. I kind of pushed them together at one time because I knew they both had similar viewpoints. He had some things in his life that I figured she could help him with, and I thought that he could help her with things in her life." End quote. So many people pointed out Ezra's odd behavior during the trial. She was blasted at times for being too calm, smiling too much, and making too many jokes. At one point, Jason stated, quote, "When she was on the witness stand, it didn't seem real. She just seemed at times to be enjoying it." End quote. November 1st, 2019, after the jury of 7 men and 5 women deliberated, they came to the conclusion that Ezra was guilty of first-degree murder. She was thrown in the Dunn County Jail in Menominee, Wisconsin. She was to stay in the jail until the day of her sentencing for stabbing 24-year-old Alex until he passed away. This is what Ezra wrote and released after the trial and before she was sentenced. Who is Ezra J. McCandless? I am related to the autumn, richness, and the sense of continued generosity, as if a gigantic tree which falls to the ground and begins to rot, growing mushrooms all over, enriched by the weeds growing around it. A sense of depth, real earthiness rather than texture. I am yellow, connected with the sun's rays. I am open to all with the quality of mid-morning. I was the child who believed in fairies, peeking delicately inside each bloom to find them. A wide-eyed child drawn to create, as did the first humans to approach their cave walls to scratch and paint. Lured to record our impressions of life, with the same fervency of creation. I have always been an artist. I find solace within each project. I have been deeply concerned with the social orders from which art springs, with the processes of creating art, and with open or hidden assumptions that inform art with the art products themselves. I've been the sculptor, painter, printmaker, photographer, and illustrator. Each creation a reflection, a part of myself. Through my photos, I show you how I view the world around me. I come from a large blended family that is not based merely on blood shared, but based on the love, passion, and faith. I value family and the ones I love most of all. I am my mother's and father's strength and determination. I am my grandparents' wisdom and each generation's love. Growing up with a nervy, craving mind, my spirit has been lit by the words of my favorite authors, Henry David Thoreau, Marcus Aurelius, Mary Wollstonecraft, Lama Surya Das, and many more. I have a passion for what I believe in, no matter the devastation. I will raise my head to face the storm. I am what I love and what keeps me awake at night. I am my love and deepest emotions. I love deeply. I feel greatly, even to my own detriment. I have always been affected by everything and everyone around me. I value the life of each and every being as if it were my own. I have a fault to forgive those who have hurt me beyond repair. I am Ezra J. McCandless, and I am a survivor. The media. It was allowed to have invasive coverage by a prejudicial media outlet the entire trial. If you breathe, it will be used against you. If you cry too hard or too much, she is a fake. If you don't cry enough, she is heartless. If you smile, she is not taking this seriously. If you keep your face calm, she is unfeeling. Daily, smile, but do not too much. It's okay to cry, but not too much. Don't react, but make sure that you show who you are. The amount of misconceptions is insurmountable. One of the many is that since March 2018, I had been put out on bail waiting for trial, when the fact is I've been incarcerated the entire waiting period, not in the comfort of home. My smiles and laugh put in a dark context. Who would not smile after finally face to face with family after so long? Would you not find relief in the moments of levity as you await on your fate? The media has a job to shock, delight, and capitalize on tragedy. The media can theorize what they feel is the truth. The media uses small details to make great leaps and bounds, conjure parallels between cases that the facts and situations are far from similar. The media has a demographic to pander to. A very important question to ask as you view prejudicial media context. Not speculation, but the truth. Court. Quote, rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth. I sat at a table where rich food and wine in abundance, and obsequious attendance, but sincerity and truth were not. And I went away hungry from the inhospitable board. The hospitality was as cold as the ices. End quote. Henry David Thoreau. In the end, this case was not decided on facts, logic, or the law. It was decided on retribution, shock, emotion, and prejudice. What was attacked? Sexuality, gender, intelligence, and credibility. An Instagram bio made years ago from a children's fable. We never hid from the facts or the law as it corroborates the truth we stand in unflinchingly. We did not yell or manipulate. When you have the truth, you do not need to manifest a story. 15 days, attacked, re-traumatized, re-experiencing traumatic details. How dare you be a young woman with more than one sexual partner? How dare you be LGBTQ? How dare you have a choice when it comes to your body? Each thing used as a seed, then planted into the mind of the jury. Painted as sex fiend and a liar every step of the way. Having to keep composure as your art photo is shown, and used as an example for, well, if she is in that position once, why would she say no to it again? I ask you, does a photo or previous sexual or non-sexual act make all future consent irrelevant? In an unlawful interference with your body, should you be expected to lay there and take it? What do we teach our youth? Do we tell them if someone starts to hurt you physically and you are in fear of your life, make sure that person hurts you enough, and then you can fight back. But be in control while fighting back. Who draws the line in the moments when you are in fear of your life? There is no referee or coach. No one can tell you how your mind and body in that moment will react. This is not common sense. This is life or death. Quote, everything had changed suddenly. The tone, the moral climate. You didn't know what to think, whom to listen to. As if all your life you had been led by the hand like a small child, and suddenly you were on your own. There was no one around, neither family, nor whose judgment you respected. End quote. Boris Pasternak. I did not have to raise my hand to speak. I made a choice to speak, to tell the truth of what has happened to me. I survived. What is next? Quote, there have been joys too great to be described in words, and there have been griefs upon which I have not dared to dwell, and with this I say, climb if you will, but remember that courage and strength are not without prudence, and that momentary negligence may destroy the happiness of a lifetime. Do nothing in haste. Look well to each step, and from the beginning think what may be the end. End quote. Edward Whymper. What I face now is a mandatory life sentence. The journey I will now take is the necessary steps to be reheard in a higher court. Our goal is this, ultimately resulting in a second chance at life and freedom itself. The battle for justice has only begun. We stand unflinchingly in the truth, We will never rest on what we believe in. Justice in the face of adversity. We will be the unrelenting voice of change in the face of prejudice, misunderstanding, and injustice. Support a voice of change. Be a voice of change. Ezra J. McCandless. And that, again, is what Ezra wrote and released after the trial and before she was sentenced. February 7th, 2020, the judge stated, quote, "I'm going to sentence Miss McCandless to life in prison and the Wisconsin prison system, and I'm going to set a date that she would be eligible to petition in court for supervision at 50 years." End quote. Ezra's mother begged the court to allow her daughter to be able to ask for parole after 20 years. The judge said that he didn't know whether or not Ezra would still be a danger to society in 20 years or not. During this sentence hearing, Ezra said, quote, "I loved Alex very much, and I also feel a great loss. I will never find words to express how sorry I am." End quote. Crystal Hall, Alex Woodworth's aunt, said in her impact statement at Ezra's sentencing, quote, "Throughout the trial, we never saw any sign of sadness, shame, compassion, or the slight bit of remorse for what you had done. There's so much to life that he had yet to experience, and you, Ezra, took that away from him, selfishly." End quote. Alex's uncle, Dale Hall, said, quote, "Ezra shows no remorse for what she's done. There is no AA group or prison program that will be able to give her any caring for human life." End quote. Alex's father, John, stated, quote, "The fact that I can forgive her for what she didn't change what I wanted to see today, but I don't want to see her dead or anything. I don't feel the need for vengeance." End quote. David Gunnelson, Ezra's grandfather, said, quote, "When she would come visit us, she'd be walking in the woods, looking at the woods, and seeing. Sometimes I'd wonder where she is, but she'd be out exploring. That is who Ezra is." End quote. According to the Woodworth family, Alex's grandfather had a heart attack after the case. In Alex's father's statement, read by the Dunn County District Attorney, he said, quote, "By killing our son, not only did she take our son, she made the world a colder and darker place." End quote. Alex's aunt, Amy Clark, stated, quote, "He left with you that fateful day, believing he was going to help you in some way, and instead you took his life. You took a life. You took away a son, a brother, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, and a friend." End quote. Ezra is in a correctional institution in Wisconsin. About Ezra's behavior during the trial, the district attorney said, quote, "Her demeanor during the trial was very relaxed. She seemed on breaks excited to see her family, that this was kind of like a family reunion. It was not someone who was, 'I'm on trial for first-degree intentional homicide.' This was someone who was wondering when she's going home." End quote. Ezra's family made a GoFundMe to raise money to pay for Ezra's appeal. Ezra's Instagram was locked down for friends only, but her family changed it to public because Ezra had posted her artwork on there. The family says anyone who buys her artwork, it will go towards Ezra's appeal. Sourcing from OsceolaSun.com, Alexander is survived by his parents John and Kim Woodworth, sister Sarah Thomas Roach, brother Jordan Woodworth, and sister Nicole Woodworth, grandparents Stephen Nancy Clark and Marvin Joan Woodworth, uncles Michael Woodworth and Scott and Amy Clark, aunts Becky Clark and Krista and Dale Hall, and many cousins and other relatives. Alex's memorial service was on March 31st at 1 p.m. at the Osceola Community Church. Interment was held at the Peace Lutheran Cemetery, Dresser. Arrangements were with the Grand Strand Funeral Home. Condolences may be expressed online at www.grandstrandfh.com. And that is the case of Ezra McCandless and the senseless death of Alex Woodworth. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Until next time, stay safe and take care. I love you.